Hello, Scoobies! It's been a minute since I've made a video, and I thought I would make a couple and try and get them out this weekend so that y'all can have something to watch. I hope everybody's Thanksgiving in the States was wonderful. As you know, Canadians celebrate in October. And now it is that time of year where people are getting their Christmas trees set up and all of that stuff. So I thought I would show you a little incense that the Miss Lovely Paula Jones, with her blessing, shared with me and has allowed me to share with you. So I am going to be making some changes to this particular incense. It is a Yule-based incense, but I've got some other herbs here. I don't really have any intentions or magical jazz to put into this. Sometimes an incense is literally just an incense, but if you look at some of the herbs that we're using, there's a lot of protective elements here. There are a lot of cleansing elements here. There are also a lot of earth-based elements here. So the basis of this recipe, I can't actually remember everything that goes into it, but I'm going to show you guys what I put into it. So I know that the base of the incense is juniper leaves. Now if you don't have juniper leaves, juniper berries will work. Anywhere, like I'm pretty sure juniper grows basically anywhere. I know that I can go up to the mountains here and go for a walk and find more juniper bushes than I know what to do with. So I'm just going to break these up into smaller pieces. What is everybody doing for their Christmas holidays? I know some of us don't celebrate Christmas, they celebrate Yule, or they celebrate some other form of winter festivities. So what are you all doing for that? I know at this time of year family is a big thing. So I'm just putting in a lot of these because I love the way this stuff smells when it burns. And these aren't completely dried. There is still some moisture in them, which is exactly how you kind of want them to be. You don't want them to be crunchy and, you know, where you could just crush them up into a fine powder. You do want a little bit of moisture still in them, because that helps with the smell. And the smell is very Christmassy. It's very warming. It's very inviting. So now that we have that out of the way, I am going to be putting in peppermint. This is not a part of the original recipe, but peppermint for me and Christmas time is just amazing. Plus, I love the smell of peppermint. And there is no set measurements, so it's just going to be based on whatever feels right for you. So I'm just going to mix this around. Now that we have the general base of the incense down, I'm going to go and put in some rosemary. Again, this is not a part of the original recipe, but I'm just going to put in a little bit of rosemary. If you had pine needles or pine cones, you could put that in as well. Myrrh dust is a part of the original recipe, and I'm just going to put in, oh, I don't know, as much as I want. I call it myrrh dust on here because I usually have it really ground up and all of that jazz. But in this case, I want them to be whole. The other thing I'm going to be putting in that is not a part of the original recipe is dragon's blood for sweetness. And in this mortar and pestle, I have ground up frankincense, dark copal, and cinnamon sticks. So cinnamon, myrrh, and frankincense are a part of this, as well as the juniper leaves, but I've also added in some dark copal. You could use regular copal if you wanted to, whatever works for you. And I'm just gonna mix this up in this bowl. And this should last me the entire month of December, as I'm making a giant mess. Gotta love that. I just cleaned off this altar and I just made a giant mess all over it. You know, it's interesting to say that before the internet and all these online stores and services and so on and so forth, a lot of witches had to use whatever they could find around them. Some witches lived in very rural, remote areas where, you know, they didn't have anything. They had what they could grow. And if all they could grow was rosemary and parsley and, you know, thyme or however you want to pronounce it, and so on and so forth, they would use what they could grow. So just because some of the ingredients that I'm putting in here, you know, some of it I bought, some of it was given to me, whatever the case may be, doesn't mean you need to go and run to the store and buy everything. It really, like, you could, you know, put in whatever you have. There was a time when I didn't have access to these online stores and so on and so forth, and I had to use whatever I could find at the grocery store. I could grow myself, or that was growing locally around me. I feel very blessed to be able to afford to go to some of these stores and purchase things like patchouli and, you know, ginger root, even though you can buy that at the grocery store, so we'll go with a different one. Red sandalwood, right? So, like, you don't have to have the expensive, you know, the candles and the herbs, you know. A lot of witchcraft can be done, whether you're cursing and hexing, or whether you're healing and curing, or whatever the case may be. It can be done with what you have in your home. For the longest time, I didn't have any ingredients to make black salt with, so I just used salt around the doors and the windows. There were times where I couldn't afford to go and buy herbs that I could grow outside, so I would go to the grocery store and see what fresh herbs they were selling. And most of the ones that they were selling in the grocery stores were like your typical rosemary, thyme, cilantro, parsley, so on and so forth. So, you know, it's not about having the resins and the expensive stuff. It's about making do with what you have. And if you can afford to go out and buy that stuff, I mean, there's nothing stopping you. It's really sad to see some people on the internet judge other people based on what they do and don't have, or what they're able to go out and afford to buy and what they're not. It doesn't make you any less of a witch if you can't afford to buy the ingredients that I've put in here and you have to use what you have in your backyard. It does not make you any less of a witch. In fact, in my opinion, it makes you more of a witch. So I'm going to put in some ginger root, because ginger root always adds that spice, and this is not a part of the original recipe. I do have the original recipe written down somewhere. I'm also going to put in some hawthorn berries. You could also put in mistletoe into this, but then you wouldn't be able to burn it in your house anywhere near your pets or children, because when mistletoe burns, it gives off a very toxic, poisonous kind of smoke. And, I mean, it's not going to kill you right away. It's not like you breathe it in and you're going to instantly die, but at the same time, it's not healthy to be breathing that in. So if you do decide to put mistletoe in this, then I would burn it by an open window. I'm going to put in some red sandalwood. And already this smells amazing. It smells like the cinnamon. I'm going to put in juniper berries. I mean, we've got some juniper in here, but why not add some berries to it as well? I think I have, I know Miss Lovely Paula sent me some juniper berries, but I think I have another bag somewhere, and I'm going to have to put more into this jar. I'm going to put in a little bit of wild cherry bark. And there's already a lot going on in this incense. And this whole bowl of incense will probably last me at least 2 Yule seasons. I do not burn a lot of incense. Finally, I'm gonna put in some osha root. I just love the way osha root smells when it burns, and I'm just trying to break this up with my hands rather than crush it. I may have to go out and purchase some more osha root. Then again, I think I have another glass of this somewhere. I personally don't like buying things from local witchy shops. I know a lot of people on the internet will want to support their local communities, and that's fine, but I find buying things in bulk from other sources is a lot more cheaper for me. For example, you would buy a small bag of osha root, like a very tiny bag. You might have 5 or 6 of these pieces in there and they wanted 30 bucks for it, whereas I can buy an entire jar worth of this for about the same price, and it lasts me much longer. So I'm just gonna give this a stir. Just kind of get some of this stuff off the bottom. So at this point, if you wanted to put some intentions into this, you definitely could. It really depends on what you're making this for, so I'll just kind of get this closer to the camera. And hopefully you all can see that. I don't know what you can see because I don't have the screen on the back flipped up, so let's hope that you can see this. But it's very, like, Christmassy. Who doesn't like Christmas? I think you'd have to be a Grinch to not like Christmas. But even the Grinch, you know, he came around. I have a lighter around here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Oh, I see it. Oh, I'm old. I'm too old for this. Okay. So I'm gonna put this in here. Let that heat up for a second, and I'm just gonna take about a spoonful worth and just put it on here, maybe a little bit more. And already that smells absolutely amazing. It's very sweet. Because you've got all the resins in there, right? So you've got the dragon's blood, you've got the myrrh, you've got the frankincense. But then on top of it, you've also got the cinnamon and the juniper and some of the berries and the red sandalwood and some of the osha root. I absolutely love the smell of this. It's very earthy smelling. I like it. You could add in some patchouli if you had it, if you wanted to. Patchouli would be a great piece for this. I also wanted to show you before I go a witch's ball that I made for the season. So this has cinnamon in it, it's got some of the bark that Miss Paula Jones sent me, it's got patchouli, it's got peppermint, it's got a few little protective things in here, and this will go on the Christmas tree just to protect against gossip and, you know, stupid people doing stupid shit at this time of year. You know how people are, they get desperate. They say one thing and do another thing and so on and so forth. Just showing their true character, all that jazz. So, I hope you guys enjoy this incense, and I hope that you guys like this incense. And if you have different variations on it, definitely make a video response. Show me your Yule incenses or post them down below. I'd really like to know what you guys are doing for Yule or Christmas or whatever you're calling it. I personally don't celebrate the traditional witchy, Wiccan-based holidays. I mean, I celebrate Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I don't celebrate them in a witchy sense except for Halloween. And even then, I mostly just eat candy, light up the spirit altar, set some incense for them, you know. But yeah, I would love to know what you guys think and what your guys' thoughts are. So until next time, my fabulous little tubies.